And welcome back to Brian Keene's Secret Histories. I'm Brian Keene, and today we are talking about The Rising, Death in Four Colors. There's only one edition of this book. You're looking at it. It says, written by Brian Keene with illustrations by Zach Atkinson. So what is this exactly? Well, this is a story about this book. In 2006, The Rising was at its first real big wave peak of popularity. We've talked about that in other videos. It had been optioned for film. It had been optioned for video game. A very rough version, a demo of the video game had been made. You can actually see that demo here on my YouTube channel. There was a lot of interest in the franchise, including a comic book. A comic book publisher optioned it, and I was to adapt the work into comics. Zach was to illustrate it. When that deal got announced, it was huge news. Ain't It Cool News, Fangoria, Rue Morgue, Comics Journal, just like every geek media source back then in 2006 was talking about this. But the publisher wasn't prepared for the interest that The Rising garnered them. They had one series at the time, another zombie comic called Dead Hatton. And with all the interest they were getting for the Rising comic, they started spending money that they didn't yet have because we hadn't actually produced this and put it on sale yet. Suddenly they went from being a comic publisher to publishing chapbooks and books and CDs and all kinds of other stuff that never seemed to come out. By then, I'd been doing this long enough to see the writing on the wall. I knew that this publisher was going to be a dud. And so I pulled my rights before anything further could be fucked up. The Rising comic sort of died on the vine. It's a shame because I had scripted the comic and Zach had done a lot of artwork for it. And I wanted Zach to get paid for his efforts. So I convinced Delirium to do this book. And what it is a signed limited edition. There's a signature sheet. And what this actually was a book about that ill-fated comic book. The introduction, as you can see, the introduction is quite long. It goes from page 7 to page 19. My original synopsis for the comic, the scripts, there were 4 issues worth of scripts done, and Zach's illustrations. I don't think I've ever reprinted this introduction. Maybe I'll put it up on Patreon so that folks can read it at length. But it begins with, this is a story about the life and death of a comic book, specifically a comic book adaptation of my best-selling novel, The Rising. Much like the novel, it does not have a happy ending. Can't say I didn't warn you this time. Yeah, you know what? I remember writing this introduction now, and it's good. And I think I will put it up on Patreon. This book will never be reprinted because, quite frankly, I don't own the rights to Zach's work, and he dropped off the grid at least a decade ago, probably more than that now. I wouldn't know how to get a hold of him. But as you can see, there's the scripts. We had it all planned out. Here's Zach's unlettered artwork. Frankie Baker, Ob in the background there. Here's some unfinished artwork. That's Ob and Baker again. So yeah, Boy, I haven't thought about this in years, but looking at this now, it makes me sad that it never happened. That is by Gak, and Gak put that on a shirt for me that I still have. It doesn't fit me anymore because I've gotten a little bigger since then. But yeah, that is the story of the rising death in four colors. Four colors is a comic book term, a production term. It used to be they could only print comics in four colors. That's where that title comes from. This book is not too hard to find. I do see them pop up on eBay. The prices vary wildly. But as I said, it will never be reprinted. There will never be another edition. So if you are a completist, you'll want to grab one when you see it on there. My apologies for such a short video, but honestly, I don't have a lot else to say about this one. It was a bad moment in my career, but I salvaged it and managed to get this book out of it and get Zach rewarded for his efforts. And, I'm okay with all that. Thanks for watching. Next time, we're going to get into Jack's Magic Beans. We'll see you then. Peace.